go ahead and while I look like somebody today, I'm gonna go ahead and make a short video on just the top questions I get asked the most about people who are interested in the military, just general questions, nothing too in depth because I only have 15 minutes. So yeah, let's try to keep it good and short. Yeah, so let's try to make this quick. I'm gonna try to do all in one shot. So if I'm like zooming through or I mess up. So first thing, what is the difference between the branches of the military? So this is my phone. So when you think about the military, most people only think about 4 branches, and that's the Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines. But there is also the Coast Guard and the National Guard. So the National Guard works with the Army, Coast Guard works with the Navy and Marines. I've never really met too many people from the Coast Guard, but yes. The main difference is our purpose. Everybody has different strategies on how they go about helping to fight the war that needs to be fought on terrorism, whatever. But no, everybody has like their own different like little positions and purpose. So like the Navy is primarily sea, even though we do have pilots. The Air Force is primarily air. The Marines and the Army are primarily boots on ground. And like I said, the Coast Guard helps the Navy and the Marines. They're like the border patrol kind of in the water. And then the National Guard is more of like a local, like American-based army. Like a lot of things that happen, they'll call in the National Guard and stuff like that. It's not the Army. They're 2 different things. So then you have our uniforms. All of our uniforms are different. Our ranking is a little different. Like a E4 in the E4, E5, E6, or I guess E1 through E6 in the Navy are called different things than in the Army or the Air Force. We're called like sailors. Then you have airmen, then you have soldiers, Marines, and coasties. I heard the Coast Guard is called, but I think you just call them Coast Guards, Yeah, our uniforms are very different. The uniform that I think is the most similar, other than like the camis, is going to be the service uniform. So our service uniform, we call them peanut butters. The Air Forces are like blue based. The Armies and the Marines are green. No, the Armies, I think they're white and black. And the Marines is green. And our PT gear, everything's different. But I feel like our service uniform is like the most similar uniform that we all have. It's like the number one thing we all have in common. Our camis are kind of similar, except the Coast Guard doesn't really wear camis. So there's that. And yeah, we all have physical assessments, but they're all different. We have to run 1.5 miles. And we have to do push-up sit-ups. It's based on your age and your like sex. So females is different than males. Me as a 25-year-old, I'm different than somebody who's 18. So yeah, there's that. And where you can be stationed is a big thing. Deployments is a different thing. Like there's a lot of things that separate the branches. So it's really just like what you want to do. If you want to be more of a boots on the ground kind of person, like shooting at people and stuff like that, I would go more Air Force or Marines. I'm not Air Force, Army or Marines. If you want to be like more like intel, stuff like that, I would go Air Force or Navy. If you want to kind of stay stateside, I would go more Coast Guard or National Guard. They do get deployed too, but a little less likely than the other branches. But all in all, I mean, we're all in the military. We all E1 through E9, O1 through O10. Let's see. Question number 2. What made you join the Navy? So I really like to travel. So I decided going to join the Navy because I want to travel. So that's another thing that's different. The Navy's deployments, we stationed on a ship. So here's the ship. We travel around, and we went to like the Mediterranean, and I got to go to Italy. Then we went to the Middle East. We went to the Gulf, and I got to go to Bahrain. I got to go to Dubai, and then in Bahrain again. Then we came back, and I got to France. So I got to go to Paris. So that was like bomb. Like, Paris is nice. Dubai is nice. It's as nice as it looks, trust me. And then after deployment, we went to Canada. We were there for Canada Day. We weren't in Toronto, so no, I didn't see Drake. But we did go to Canada, and it really was a cool place to go. So I do still plan on going to Toronto, but like on my own time. So I can't find Drake. I'm just joking. But yeah. So let's see. Oh, another thing, I thought I could go to California. I like the places that the Navy can be stationed. I feel like they had better options, but I didn't end up in California. I actually ended up on the East Coast. So I'm in Virginia right now. Yeah, I also wanted to go shore duty. I ain't shore duty either. The Navy has like, we have like Sea Duty Ships Company, we have Sea Duty Squadron, and we have shore duty, which is like you don't go on a ship, which is great. What's your job title and what do you do all day? I am a AZ3, so I'm an Aviation Maintenance Administration man, I guess. And all day I work in admin at the current moment. I used to work in supplies at AZ. In supply, on deployment, I put aircraft parts into maintenance, and then I took them out of maintenance to be put back on the aircraft. So I was kind of in charge of working with the squadron's AZs to make sure all the aircraft parts got their maintenance performed on time, and that like there's certain parts of the aircraft that can only be used for so long. So it's kind of like the pilot's life is in our hands, like AMD as a whole, O level and I level wise. Y'all know what that means. Anyway, blah blah blah. But right now I work in admin, so right now I'm a paper pusher, as people call it. So I'm acting as a yeoman. So I am like in charge of everybody's like chits, like if they want to go somewhere, so they request schools, make sure everybody's here, attendance, stuff like that. If you're sick, if you're on leave, like whatever, if your pay's messed up, if you have a kid and you need to put your kid on your page too, stuff like that, that all comes through me, and then I get it worked out to where, you know, everything flows. Awards, all that kind of stuff, they all come up there. Yeah, that's mainly what we do. It's like my main job right now. That's not AZ's main job, but that's my main job. What do you like about being in the Navy? My favorite thing about the Navy is going to be the diversity. I think that the Navy is like a really diverse place. You meet a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different places. A lot of people you really wouldn't meet in life normally because they're from such different places. And I feel like that's a great thing. Like, it's really exciting to meet new people, and it's just like you always traveling. There's always change, like good change. So it's like I'm always doing something new, and it's not just like me sitting in Oklahoma looking at the same walls every day, still working back at Sprint. I love working at Sprint, don't get me wrong, but you know, this is different, and it's a change of scenery, and it's a good positive change. You know, there's always room to move up. You can always progress, and it's kind of like job stability. I've been at the same job for 4 years, you know what I mean? So even though it's like the Navy, I've still been here 4 years. So that's, you know, it looks good. It teaches, I'm not gonna sit here and spill to y'all that the Navy teaches you like, gives you so much like, can't think of the word, not like a routine, because there's always something that could change. So the military isn't like an everyday kind of thing. So if you're looking for something to get you into a routine, this is not it. Because one day I could be sitting at home and the next day they call me like, hey, you're going on deployment with another ship. And then I have to pack everything and go. Like, so you always got to be flexible. But I think that's kind of fun and exciting. So another thing I like about it is that I have the option to go plenty of places, and I still have a chance of going West Coast. And that's like one thing I'm trying to get stationed to Point Magoo or somewhere out there by LA, you know, because I've never been to LA. I really would love to go, or Texas, you know, I'll go back home, no biggie. or Hawaii or overseas. Favorite place I've been, Dubai or Paris. Definitely Dubai or Paris. Actually, both of them. What are some challenges being in the Navy? Just learning that you have to work for people. Like, a lot of people don't understand we work together. I work with you. A lot of people are like, no, you work for me. So, you know, biting your tongue and learning to be flexible and just be able to be thrown into a situation and you must adapt. And there are people who don't adapt, and it's your job to help them. You know what I mean? You have a lot of people who didn't have jobs before the Navy. I'm an only child, you know, I'm around all these people. You're in a berthing full of people. Like, my berthing is so small, and there's 30-something females in there, and that's a small berthing. The bigger berthings, I was in a berthing with 250 females. Like, you know, like, you're in this situation, and you're gonna make the best of it. Yeah. Favorite thing I've done in the Navy, probably shooting a gun. I thought that was, like, super fun. You know, deployment was cool, but that was probably my favorite. Were you nervous when you first joined the Navy? Of course I was nervous. I was scared. But, you know, I did a lot of things that I didn't know I had the willpower to do. So boot camp wasn't the hardest thing, but it wasn't like super duper easy. And it's more of a mental thing. Like, all of the military is more of a mental thing. You can get through whatever you want to get through. You just have to put that in your head. And that's another good thing about the military, is that it taught me that it gave me like the effort mentality. Like, I'll be about to do something. Like, when I was in DR and I was jumping off the water, you know, like, what is it called? Waterfalls and stuff like that. And I'm like up there looking 20 feet down, and I'm just so nervous. And I'm like, look at everything you've accomplished in your life. And you're scared of a waterfall? You just got a 7-month deployment, girl, boo, jump. So it's just like, you know, effort, and I just do it. So, I kind of feel like I'm more fearless now than I was before. And I've always been kind of daredevilish, kind of. Don't like scary movies though. But yeah, for the most part, like, the Navy really does give you some, it's just like any other job. It has good things, it has bad things. You have your good days, you have your bad days. You have good people, bad people. And that's just the military in general. That's life in general. But I really do feel like it was a culture shock for a lot of people. Lucky for me, it wasn't. Would I do it all again differently? Yes, I would. I would definitely still be in the military. I re-enlisted, so of course so. But I do wish there's a lot of things I would like to go back and do differently. But I don't regret joining. Definitely yes. That's all the questions I have. So if you have any more questions, you can inbox them to me. You could DM me. You could put them in the comments. You could email me, whatever, however you feel to reach out to me. You can ask me any question about the military, the Navy, whatever. If I don't know the answer, I'll figure it out. And I'll try to come up with more videos like this, because a lot of people ask me and I want to be able to help. So with that said, thanks for watching my video, and I will see you next time. Bye.